Oh! Bengals and Chiefs offsetting penalties. They're going to replay the down. Zach Taylor's balls can't possibly be so big that he'll go for it again. Can he? Welcome to the jungle, Bengals fans. I'm Kyle Phelps, and we did it! Your Cincinnati Bengals are officially the champions of the AFC North, and after just 1 year following having a top 5 pick in the draft 2 years in a row, and clinching all of it against the AFC top-seeded team, the Kansas City Chiefs, who have represented the AFC in the Super Bowl both of the last 2 years. But before we get to that, I'd just like to ask if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. It really helps my channel out, and it helps you to be the first to know when we put out all of our awesome content. So we do these recaps after Bengals games. We do power rankings after the NFL week is completely finished. We do previews before each Bengals game with our excellent team of correspondents, and we do Battle of Ohio podcast clips on the off days. So you're getting 5 days of content a week during the season. And then during the off-season, it's going to be a little bit of a different schedule, but I promise you guys there's still going to be some good content coming. But anyway, what a game, folks. The odds were stacked against the Bengals to pull this one off. With all the availability issues we had with linebackers, especially going up against Travis Kelce, and this team already not being good at covering tight ends. Not to mention, the Chiefs have looked back to their old selves for about the past few weeks. You know, the Bengals beat the Super Bowl caliber Kansas City Chiefs, not the Kansas City Chiefs that, were struggling to win games and couldn't play any defense weeks ago. Going into this game, it felt like, at least to me, I was emotionally preparing for a loss in this one. I know I came out and I said, the Bengals can win this one. I know on double overtime I came out and I said, I think the Bengals are going to win this one in a high-scoring shootout type match, which is kind of what we got. But at the same time, I still had that thing, I'm still a Bengals fan. I've still seen them blow it more times than they've actually done it in my life. And I was just really not sure what I was going to see this week from the Cincinnati Bengals. Are we going to get that high-flying offense and that suffocating defense that we've seen at times be the reason why this team wins big football games? Or are we going to see them completely fail to live up to the moment and just, show the world why, maybe they might be able to go win a playoff game, but nothing beyond that this year. The Cincinnati Bengals are still building into something better. But after beating the Kansas City Chiefs, I think better might be here right now. And like I said, going into this game, there was always that little thought in the back of my mind. What if we win? What if we can clinch the AFC North without ever having to worry about what Baker Mayfield and his undefeated record against the Cincinnati Bengals has to say about it? Could we do it? And with all these offensive weapons we have and the way the defense plays sometimes, why couldn't we do it? Dude, that'd be so awesome. I think we can do it. You know what? Man, that'd be so huge. You have to start thinking about, can this team make it to the Super Bowl this year at that point? Can you imagine? Well, Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, and the Cincinnati Bengals, as a team, did imagine it. And they executed it. Man, it was a great game, too. It wasn't one of those things where, something crazy happens and, the Bengals sneak away with a win. I mean, they did kind of sneak away with a win, and some crazy things did happen, but that wasn't why the Bengals won. The Bengals won because they kept up with the Chiefs, and they executed when it mattered. It started off by winning the coin toss, which is always a great sign. And things started out encouraging on defense as they immediately forced a 3-and-out on the Chiefs. Unfortunately, the Bengals also went 3-and-out on their first drive after Jamar Chase's first down catch was overturned. And a bunch of people were really mad about that call, and I get it, because, there was some questionability about how can you really overturn that call that was already on the field with the angles that you had and everything like that. But I can say that I was up in the canopy, and I didn't think it was a first down until they called it a first down on the field. So if it was me reviewing the play, I'd have to base it off the fact that I called it short on the field. But that's not what happened. The refs were reviewing the fact that they called it a first down on the field, and I don't think there was really enough evidence to overturn it either way. But That's all I'm going to say about that for now. Trust me, we're going to get into some talk about some bad calls later. Like, for example, on the Chiefs' first play of their next drive, Jessie Bates makes an incredible play to knock the ball away from Tyreek Hill, or so I thought. For some reason, Jessie Bates jumping in front of Travis Kelce and playing the ball expertly elicited a pass interference call. And I really don't understand how else you could possibly play the ball than the way that he played it. Like, seriously, he did one of, like, these moves, and then he was looking back for the ball and everything. I don't understand what else you need to do at that point. It was an absolutely ridiculous call that handed the Chiefs the ball at the Bengals' 40-yard line and put the Bengals in a really rotten position despite playing absolutely pristine defense up to that point in the game. Predictably, 5 plays later, the Chiefs took a 7-0 lead. The Bengals offense failed to generate anything on the following drive, and that was their own fault. I'm not going to blame the refs for the fact that the Bengals got out to a slow start. But, then the Chiefs scored another touchdown, and then suddenly it's 14-0, and everything's starting to feel a little bit out of control. And I don't blame a lot of people who were starting to think, oh my god, here we go again, Bengals. It's like, I was talking to plenty of people during the game at that point, and a lot of people were starting to get worried that it was going to turn into a rout. I was trying to tell them that it isn't nearly as bad as it looks because, the Bengals have come back from more points than this before and they won, especially this particular team. And it's like, yes, the offense absolutely needs to step their game up. But I felt at that point that the defense had at least flashed enough to show that they can keep up with the Chiefs. Not all the time, they were letting some scores go, but at the same time, they did have some good drives, and some of them were ruined by refs, but they were still playing well, so you gotta give them that. And it's like, it's not their fault that the refs basically handed them 7 points on their first drive. The Bengals still get the ball to start the second half, so if they can pull off that trick that they've been pulling off all season, where they score immediately before and after the hat, then that's a 14-point swing, and suddenly they're right back in this thing. And, just like I predicted, that's exactly what happened. The Bengals kick-started their offense on the next drive with Joe Burrow finding a wide-open Ja'Marr Chase for 10-yard reception, but then Ja'Marr Chase did the Ja'Marr Chase thing, and he completely juked the defender out of his shoes and turned upfield, and he hit a completely new gear at that point, outrunning the Chiefs' defense for what turned into a 72-yard touchdown. At that point, I'm thinking, during the play, I'm thinking, oh my god, this is so awesome, and then immediately afterwards, I'm thinking, okay, that's great, but can they answer that great play on defense, and can they put together an offensive drive that doesn't involve a singular explosive play? Can they actually put together a drive and get some points that way? The answer to the first question about the defense was unfortunately no, at least not yet. But they did accomplish the offensive part of what I was talking about on both of their last 2 drives before the half. Unfortunately, they couldn't finish the final drive before the half with a touchdown, but they did put up a field goal to cut the lead to 11. So they go into halftime down 11. But honestly, that sounds way better than 21-7, which is where things stood in the early second quarter. And they almost screwed that up too. After that field goal, they kicked it back to the Chiefs, and Byron Pringle took it to the house for a touchdown. Luckily for the Bengals, Zane Anderson got called for holding on that play, and the Chiefs ended up on their own 16 with only 30 seconds left before halftime, and that proved to be too much for even Patrick Mahomes to come back from. And I think this might be one of the things that the Chiefs fans are pointing out and saying, look at how the refs screwed us. But it's like, okay, but without that holding penalty, then Byron Pringle doesn't get that touchdown. So, you kind of see what I'm saying, where it's just kind of like, get over it a little bit. So, we're in the second half now. The Bengals do get the ball first, but remember, we're down 11 points at this point, so we pretty much have to come out on the first drive if we want a clear path to making an easy comeback in this game. Not an easy comeback, but a straightforward comeback in this game. Well, Joe Burrow dialed up that boy Ja'Marr Chase again. This time, he hit him for 25 yards. But again, this dude is completely wide open. Once again, he completely outran the Chiefs secondary and ended up with a 69-yard touchdown that ended up with the Bengals only being down 4 points at this point. Then, the Bengals and the Chiefs traded a few punts. It was a little frustrating because the Bengals were pushing downfield really well on that drive, and it just kind of stalled just outside of field goal range. Like literally, at this point, I was wondering if they were going to give McPherson a chance to set another Bengals franchise record for longest field goal kick, because that's how close they were. But the really encouraging part is the Bengals defense kept holding after that. this is the Kansas City Chiefs after all. I figured it was going to be one of those games where neither defense could really do a whole lot, and whichever offense had the ball last is the team that was going to win. But the defense just kept giving the offense more opportunities and more opportunities. The Bengals offense finally broke through in the fourth quarter and took a lead after Joe Burrow surgically showed us why I said the Chiefs just cannot find a way to defend against all of these offensive weapons we have. There's just no way that they can do it with that secondary. Everyone was getting fed, and I mean everyone. I mean Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins. Joe Burrow ran it at one point. And now the Bengals have a 31-28 lead. The Chiefs tied it up on the next drive with a field goal, but things started getting kind of weird after the Bengals drove all the way back down on their last offensive drive. They ended up on the 2-yard line just before the 2-minute warning. But it's also, importantly, 3rd and 1, not 3rd and goal. So, Kansas City did keep the Bengals out of the end zone on the next play, but the Bengals got the first down. So, importantly, that keeps the clock running. Then, 1st and goal. Stuffed. 2nd and goal. Stuffed. Ugh. But Kansas City took all of their timeouts, and with a minute and a half left to go at that. 3rd and goal. Stuffed. Ah! There's only 58 seconds left, right? You can probably kick a field goal here, and then if you play decent defense like you've been playing pretty much the whole first half, and then, throughout much of this game, then you can probably hold on for the win, right? Right? No. Zach Taylor decides to go for the touchdown on 4th and 1. 4th and 1. Incomplete pass. But Bengals and Chiefs offsetting penalties. They're going to replay the down. We're all going nuts in the stands. We're like, oh my God, they got a chance to fix their problem. Zach Taylor's balls can't possibly be so big that he'll go for it again. Can he? Imagine if he gets stuffed 5 times in a row and had the opportunity to take the lead like that. Can you imagine how insane everybody be calling for his job at that point? Well, guess what happened? Yeah, Joe Burrow goes back to pass again. Incomplete. Again. But hey, you know what? Why was it incomplete? Illegal use of hands on the Honey Badger. There were some Chiefs fans on Twitter who were blaming this as one of their many examples of the reasons why the refs screwed the Chiefs out of this game for changing the outcome of the game. But the fact of the matter is, the only reason the Bengals were even down 21-7 in the first place was the refs were completely screwing the Bengals early in the game on that pass interference, and arguably on the way that Jamar Chase catch got overturned. So you can't tell me that correctly calling penalties is screwing the Chiefs. It's just not. But anyway, at the end of all that craziness, they ended up with a fresh set of downs on the 1-yard line. Now supposedly, Joe Burrow's knee was getting sore at this point, the bad one, from all of the quarterback sneaking and short field football that was happening at that point. So Brandon Allen comes in to put the game away. He kneeled the ball, ran the rest of the clock out, and spiked it with 3 seconds left to set up an Evan McPherson 20-yard field goal attempt for a walk-off win. And good on them for pulling Joe Burrow, by the way, because if there's even the remotest of remote possibilities that something is aggravated in his knee, you do not take the chance now that we're going to the playoffs and there's more important things than kneeling on the ball and spiking it. So, finally, the game mercifully comes to an end, with McPherson converting the easy field goal as time expires. And when I say mercifully, I mean I was a complete nervous wreck at this point. Thank God, I still haven't figured out how to manipulate the available space on my phone enough to do the game day vlogs that I had initially promised you guys on the channel, because I was absolutely shaking. I was like, ah! The entire time it took for those 9 entire plays to move the ball 1 yard and kick a field goal. I'm not joking. I legitimately thought that my knees were gonna give out during the game because I was just so shaky. It was probably the single most excited and nervous that I've ever been at a Bengals game live before, and the closest thing that I can compare it to was when I thought that we won that 2015 playoff game against the Steelers. Just before. Jeremy, Montez, Pac-Man, what are you doing? But thank God, this time they pulled it off. The Bengals finished the game off over the Kansas City Chiefs 34-31, and they have officially gone from worst to first in the division. Don't forget, guys, this was a Bengals team that wasn't supposed to win more than 6 games this year. Ja'Marr Chase was supposed to be a horrible pick because it won't matter what weapons you have for Joe Burrow if he hits the ground on every single play. Penei Sewell was supposed to be the only player who could ever possibly get this offensive line playing better enough to give Joe Burrow a snowball's chance in hell of getting a pass off every once in a while. And you know what, to be fair, guys, to Penei Sewell, he seems to be really settling down in Detroit. He was struggling there pretty badly at first, but since like week 6, he's actually been playing pretty well. But it's not even comparable to the impact that Ja'Marr Chase has made in Cincinnati. How about the fact that he just broke Justin Jefferson's rookie receiving record after 16 games with 1,429 yards? How about the fact that he's 44 yards away from the all-time rookie receiving record set by Bill Groman in 1960? And granted, that one was with 14 games, but it stood since 1960 through all of those 16-game schedules. How about the fact that he's only 4 touchdowns behind breaking Randy Moss's record for most touchdowns in a year by a rookie receiver? He's probably not going to score 4 touchdowns against the Browns. Well, he'd have to score 5 to break it. But he's probably not going to score that many touchdowns against the Browns next week, if he even plays against the Browns next week. But the fact that he's tied with dudes who played in 1978 and 1952 for second all-time in that category is pretty insane to me. How about the fact that he broke Chad Johnson's franchise record for the Bengals for receiving yards in a single game as a rookie? Chad Johnson wasn't a rookie when he did that. So yeah, this kid's special. He's by far and away the best rookie of the entire 2021 NFL draft. And the fact that the Bengals got him at 5 is looking like an absolute steal. But anyway, the Bengals have clinched the AFC North. And in the process, they eliminated the Cleveland Browns from playoff contention, and the Steelers and Ravens are each left with a 2% chance to make the playoffs per 538. Now, the Bengals are focused on seeding. If they lose to the Browns next week, then they'll be locked in as the number 4 seed in the AFC, and they'll host whoever the number 5 seed in the AFC is in the wild card round. Probably the Patriots. If they win, they'll most likely be the number 3 seed, and then they'll host whoever the number 6 seed is. Probably the Colts. Although, there is a very slim possibility that if the Chiefs, Titans, and Patriots all lose to the Broncos, Texans, and Dolphins, respectively, they could end up with number 1 seed. Very slim possibility. Although the possibility's still there. Even as unlikely as that scenario is, though, I think it would still be cool to see the Bengals go into the playoffs on a 4-game win streak, because they've just hit the 3-game win streak for the first time in Zach Taylor's tenure. They'll probably have to get it done without Joe Burrow, though. Supposedly, he tweaked his knee a little bit on that final series against the Chiefs, and it didn't sound serious. You know, he was smoking cigars in the locker room and everything like that, and he wasn't acting like it was a big deal. But I'd imagine, like I said earlier, if there's even the remotest of remote possibilities that he aggravated a knee-based injury, it would be enough for them to hold him out for the final game of the season, considering they already clinched a spot in the playoffs. I think if it was what we've all been expecting, which is a Week 18 AFC Championship game between the Bengals and Browns, that Joe Burrow would probably play. But because it is what it is, I think Brandon Allen's a decent backup, and we don't really want to risk anything when it comes to Burrow's health. So I imagine he'll be getting a bye week, even though the number 1 seed probably isn't that realistic for the whole team. So let me know what you guys thought about the game or the video in the comments below, and I'll feature the best ones in my next video. Like this one from Truix, who commented on my Ravens reaction video. They said, "Good content, man. As a Ravens fan for 39 years on injured reserve, no Tyler Huntley, I had a feeling they were going to get shut out. Keep the content coming, though, and keep being yourself." And hey, man, I always appreciate people saying nice stuff, for real. Seriously, it's so much better than talking into the void, like I felt like I did on the first entire year we were doing the Battle of Ohio podcast. And as for the Ravens, like, I know, man, they got screwed. They really did. But from the Bengals' perspective, it's like they still needed to go out and actually take care of business against that team. I feel like it was a legitimate win because they went out and they did what they were supposed to do against a team that they should be able to wax that roster. I actually talked about on the video how I was kind of scared. I would rather have Lamar Jackson because I'm worried about the Bengals playing against a backup quarterback like Tyler Huntley because they just have a tendency to like fall apart against them. Look at what happened with Mike White and the Jets. Also, I don't normally do this, but I wanted to shout out this comment from Super Sushi in the Chiefs preview video that I made. He said, "I really like your videos. For me, it would be better if you could reposition your mic and not hug/move it all the time. The movement of the mic is kind of distracting while I want to focus on the Bengals. Keep up the good work, and hoo-day." I didn't want to wait until Friday to address that comment because I really appreciate constructive criticism, guys. So, Super Sushi, I got rid of the boom arm for this video. It didn't affect the audio quality as much as I thought it would. So, I mean, you know, does this work better? I've got the mic just kind of positioned here on my desk now, and you can't really see it in the video. But I feel like it's close enough to my mouth still without the boom mic that it's still good audio quality. So let me know, guys, if there's anything I can improve on. I really appreciate you guys letting me know, because this is my first year doing this and I don't really have any background in video production, so I'm just kind of like learning as I go. And I'm really enjoying doing this, but you know, it's kind of a process, and you know, I'm putting out the best content I can right now. So like I said, I really appreciate you guys pointing things out to me in a way that isn't shitty, because I've had some shitty comments, and for what it's worth, I've taken the shitty comments to heart too when they have a good point to make. I just, at the same time, I wish, you know, maybe don't have to say things like an asshole, but you know, but Super Sushi, you said things in a very respectable way, and I appreciate you for pointing it out, and I hope this works better for you, man. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully we can build this thing together, and this turns into the best possible channel and community that we possibly can. So thank you guys, really appreciate you. Honestly, there's so many more things that I want to say about this game and the implications of it, but I can't really do much more and keep this video to a reasonable, or at least a normal length. I'm already a little over how long these usually go at this point, without starting to cut out a lot of stuff that I wanted to say in the first place. But trust me, I'll go into a lot more depth on the Battle of Ohio podcast that's probably going to come out on Wednesday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, as well as the Bengals only clip that comes out on this channel too, that you'll be notified for if you subscribe. But other than that, y'all can always find more of what I do at KylePhelps92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/ThePhelps, and my written Bengals coverage at atbnetwork.com/Cincinnati Bengals. But thank you for watching, everybody. We're AFC North Champions, baby! As always, I'll leave y'all with a hoo-day!